Hello my friends and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from DED. And as promised, we're right back here with the devastatingly dashing ThinTrash to jump in his Cormorant and go out and do the escalation that we got in Null Sec. Because as I said in the previous video, our first video was this guy, Alpha goes to Low Sec. We got the escalation. Since the first video, the channel has grown very nicely and you guys give me so many nice messages and positive vibes that it keeps me going. I'm here for your feedback, not for the fame and fortune, I can assure you. And I really do appreciate it. We've had about 300,000 views now on the EVE videos and about 2,500 subs. So thank you very much. The first ship he ever flew in that first Low Sec video was a Merlin. He ended that video in a Cormorant. And here he is back in a Cormorant, one that needs a bit of a wash to be honest, but not to worry, it doesn't slow us down. And we got an escalation. I was clearing hideaways with the ship in Low Sec and we got an escalation into Null Sec. How exciting is that? The time is ticking, we got a good chunk of time left, which also means if our first attempt to get in there looks a bit dodgy, we can just chill out and do it later. The first thing we need is some intel because I'm certainly not a local around this neck of the woods yet. So I've got me map set to show the kills in the last hour. And sure enough, these ones are all pretty clear, but it's the gateway in the first Low Sec system from High Secs had 4 kills in the last hour. I suspect a camp, so we're going to be appropriately cautious when it comes to actually starting our journey. But first of all, this is an adjusted fit from the one that I ran in the doing a 3 out of 10 in a Cormorant video. That was the Low Sec Escalation Ninja video. Basically, I've gone back to Tech 1 guns. The 125mm prototype Gauss guns. They're the best Tech 1 guns and the most expensive. You could use the Meta 3 guns. You'd have enough DPS, as we'll see when we're running the site. In the mid slots, we've got the usual trio medium shield extender 2. A web to slow them down if they're getting close, and a compact micro warp drive. In the rig slots, we've got the collision accelerator, which is just straight damage boost. Then we have switched from the last fit with the Tech 2 guns. Because we have more power grid to spare, we can use the defense field extender. We don't need to worry about giving ourselves more power grid with the ancillary current router. And we've got the thermal shield hardener in there, as we did before, just to up that thermal resistance. It's Serpentis rats we're after here, and this ship has its resistances boosted for that. The EM hole is real. We have 0 EM resistance on the shield, but that's a decision we've made. Nobody's going to think to shoot at me with any EM ammo, so it'll be absolutely fine. Magnetic field stabilizer 2 down in the bottom. Alongside him is the compact power diagnostic system. That gives us 5.5% boost to our power grid, which we need because we're very tight. I do have, as I'm about to show you, that 1% power grid implant. That is what makes this fit work for me. They're very useful. There's a whole selection. Have a look through the market. It's probably the best place, or if you want to use a wiki or something. I've got one there for the 1% additional power grid and one for missile launcher rate of fire 1% boost. The 1% implants cost, I don't know, about 1.5 maybe to 2 million. They're not that expensive, and remember they work on every fit that you're flying when you've got them in your pod in your head, as it were. If you don't want to use the implant, or you've already got that slot taken, or you can't afford it, you could use as an alternative a compact reactor control unit. That'll give a 12% boost to your power grid, whereas the diagnostic system gives a 5.5% boost to power grid, a 4.5% boost to your shield hit points, and a 4.5% boost to your capacitor capacity. So that's the 2 ways of getting this fit to work for you. If it still doesn't fit, you might have to look at your skills, and I'll refer you back to the skill video that was published right before this one. Should be very easy to find, just to give you the details of how to squeeze more power grid out of your hulls using skills. And I'll refer you also to those rigging skills, because all of the rigs we're using today are making the power grid use of the ship worse in some way. So they're being mitigated by the skills as per that vid. Now I've got faction thorium ammo in these guns at the moment. That gives us a DPS of just under 140, a 22 kilometer optimal and a 28 kilometer fall off, and that is kind of the safety range. Although I don't intend to use faction ammo on the site just to save costs, and I don't think we're going to need it. I'm going to go with long range tungsten and short range antimatter, I think, as I get into the site, because I'm a little bit more comfortable on them. But we'll talk about that when we're there. I've also obviously got the core probe launcher on this fit, because you never know. I'm also thinking sometimes the easiest way out of Null Sec, if you end up in a really crazy place, is through a wormhole, believe it or not. That's also my favourite way into Null Sec. If I want to go in there, do a little bit of exploration, or just go and have a bit of a nose about, who knows. Now I've got shadow tungsten ammo in here actually. Let's see where that gets us. So we've got 88 DPS, we've got a 35 kilometer optimal and a 41 kilometer fall off. That is really long range snipey. Again, I don't think I'm going to hang back that far at all. That's how I did the sight. Cormorant video on the 3 out of 10, bear in mind, was the first time I'd done a 3 out of 10 in a destroyer. So I was a little bit playing it on the safe side, but you always want to do that the first time you try and summit. And then we'll get a little bit braver and hopefully quicker and more efficient as we go along. So we're going to start doing that today. Getting to the site and getting out of the site is the tricky bit of this video. It's not running the site at all, as I'm sure you can appreciate. I put some antimatter up there in the guns now. That's doubled the DPS from the long range ammo to 160. We've got a 13 kilometer optimal and an 18 kilometer fall off. And I reckon if we keep the rats around at, about 15 to 18 kilometers, if we can control the range, and remember that's what the micro warp drive is there for, so we can burn, we pull range, we're going to manual fly, we're going to be in control the whole time. Another thing about that shadow ammo, in case you've never looked at it, for faction ammo, it's not brilliant, but it's like 60 ISK a shot. But compared to Federation Navy ammo, which is going to be 500 ISK plus per shot, it's quite cheap. For your extra money, and I just checked and it's about 2.5 times the price of just standard ammo, you get an extra 10% to your damage. So that's pretty good if you want it, and it's a cheap way of doing it. The total price, as it says there, is probably about 10, because that's usually a little bit of a conservative estimate, but that does include over 3 mil for the Sisters probes we bought. Obviously we've got no bonuses, we've got alpha skills, so if we need to scan something down fast, Sisters core scanner probes are the way to go. Just one more thought on the fit side of things. If you are tight on the power grid, you could downgrade the shield extender to, I'd recommend the restrained shield extender. It'll cost about an extra $1 million. The restrained shield extender also reduces your signature radius bloom. Don't put the compact one on unless you really need to, or you really don't care, because they cost, looking at the market tonight, even in Jittler 10 mil. That would double the price of the fit with one module. Don't do it. Get a restrained one if Tech 2 is a bit of a stretch. As you can see here, guys, I've come in through this gate in a pod. How cautious can you be? Yeah, I recommend if you check that map and it says there's been 4 kills in the last hour, and it's the gateway system to the Low Sec on your route, then going in a pod, it takes, what, an extra 3 minutes or something. I'm warping off to a station here. I don't want to linger on the belt, because as I move the pod back to the belt to get back into high sec to go get at Cormorant, somebody could come through or land on the gate and just black me and run, because they can do that quite easily. So I'm just having a little look at who's around, a little bit of intel gathering, and then I'm just going to walk straight back out and go and get in the Cormorant. And there seems to be an incursion running in here, but at least I know for now there's no gate camp. Could be when I come back, you never know. It's all part of the thrill really, but I'm off to get the Cormorant. Okay, so we're going back in the Cormorant. I've literally gone back to the station, switched ship and come back. I didn't take a coffee break, a smoke break, or a bio break. And thankfully no camp has arrived, so we shall zoom straight across this system. We have no worries about the gate we're landing on, but every gate we go through now could be a camp on the other side. So let's just cross our fingers. We're just going to go for it now. No more pod recon. Have a little snoop around, see who's around, see what's on D-scan. And fingers crossed for the next jump, which is into another low sec system. Let's have a look at some of these rats hanging around by the gate. I'm glad they didn't get cross with me. Incursion is actually one part of the game I've never got into. I will have to one day. It's the only one left. Right, here we are. No camp. I immediately noticed there are 146 people in here. There's an incursion running. Incursion runners, that's usually all about bling. Oh my, if I had more time, I'd be making a big effort to see what is flying around in this system. Yeah, I bet there's some people going suspect in here. Yeah, out of my commitment to you, I'm going to get on and run this den. Any other day, I'd be getting a bit of information about this. 146 people in a low sec system is very, very exceptional, I can assure you. And if they're here to run incursions in faction battleships with bling fits, then it's going to be some fun in here, I should think. Okay, our first jump into Null Sec. Fingers crossed. Let's see what we find. See, these little trips are worth it just for the things that you see. 146 people doing incursions in Low Sec. Madness. Right. I'm going to go to my little warp to tab here. I'm just going to warp to a planet. You could take a little bit more time if you wanted to selecting your planet. I'm just going to get off the gate. I'm not warping straight to the gate. Although there's no one else in local at the moment, I'm doing this kind of for demonstration purposes. If you warp straight to a gate, that is the most likely place that somebody has popped a warp bubble, either on a gate or on a route between two gates. So if you zigzag across the system via a planet, a moon, a poco or something, anything, you will find yourself a little bit less likely to get caught in a warp bubble. And that's a warp disruption bubble. In case you don't know, if you fly into one, you're pulled out of warp. You can get out of them. It's not guaranteed by any means, but you can try. And now we're up here. We're just going to warp to the gate from here. And hopefully we should not be interrupted. But as I say, there's no one else in local, so there's unlikely to be a bubble. And it's the Tech 2 version of the Cormorant. The Flycatcher is one of the ships that can actually use the warp disruption probes, which is one way of putting out a warp disruption bubble. The other is a warp disruption field generator, which is a deployable, a bit like an MTU. You need the anchoring skill. They come in different sizes and they have different radiuses. My Omega Anthrax does have a flycatcher or two. We might see them one day. Okay, we're nearly there. One more jump, one more potential gate camp. Now when it comes to a really hard gate camp, if we fly into one, we're dead pretty much. The reason the ship's got the extra tank isn't really for running the site, it's just for a little bit more hit point protection. Should we run into somebody, they take a shot at us, maybe we'll survive because we're small and we're fast and we just get a glancing blow. Who knows, but you know, that's really the thinking behind this bit. We know we've got enough DPS to deal with the site, we know we've got the tactics to deal with the site, and the rest of the fit is really the Null Sec security aspect. Again, we're alone in local. It's amazingly quiet out here. I'm a little bit surprised. There's no sovereignty in this Null Sec. It is NPC Null Sec. So maybe that's why it's a little bit quiet. But yeah, empty is a bit weird. So I didn't zigzag straight across the system. Rats on the gate. I'm not lingering. I'm not hanging about anyway. The mount is not much better for a catalyst here in Null Sec than it is pretty much anywhere else. There you go. And no gate camp. Right, we are in the system with the site in it. Now the first thing we need to do is get off this gate, and we're going to make a safe as we do that. So we're just going to warp up to a planet. We're going to press Control B to get this bookmark window open, but we're not going to press enter yet. The bookmark isn't created till you do press enter, so I'm just going to make sure we're somewhere on our little warp flight where we're not too close to anything, and just press enter, and that's our safe spot done. So as soon as we've landed out of this warp, we'll warp straight back to our safe spot and continue from there. And anywhere that you're going to spend any kind of time, guys, you make yourself at least, well, 2 safe spots, I'm going to say. You never know, if you can get scanned down on your safe, so always have a spare one whenever you're in Low Sec, Null Sec, wormholes, whatever. Anyway, there's our escalation. We've got plenty of time left on the countdown. Just remember that that does include the time there you running the site. I have had sites despawn around me, and I was shooting the loot box when it did it. I wasn't happy. I think for our purposes today, one safe spot is going to do us. We could run to that. We've got plenty of places in here to bounce around in, but certainly have a few set up if it's a system you're going to spend any time in, or you're going to go into quite regularly. You don't want people to get used to what you do. As you'll find as you play the game, you'll get to know the locals will get to know you, so just keep them guessing is always a good move. We're at the gate into the site. As I've said, I'm going to do a little bit of what we're doing on the site. I'm going to make an exception today just to keep this video length down, and I'm actually going to cut a bit of the site out. Normally I wouldn't do that when I'm showing you how to run a site, but today it's about the Null Sec aspect, as I've said. I'll link at the end of this video back to the Cormorant Low Sec Ninja video. If you want a more detailed in-depth running of the site run through, there's your man. But for now, we'll just get settled in here. It's easy peasy really. You'll see through this site we're going to not really take much damage at all, and we're going to get braver as we go along. All I really need to do is keep an eye on that local. As long as I'm alone, I can just chill and get on with this like I was in Metzerel. As soon as there's someone in local, we go into a different mode completely, and the site is not the priority. The footage is up to 4 times speed anyway here, but just the basic technique is I manual fly around. I choose what range I kind of want to keep as a barrier. Then you let the rats kite into you, pick them off as they do. If they ever get in too close and you start taking a worrying amount of damage, you just turn in the opposite direction and hit the micro warp drive and just start again from there. Basically, it's a very simple technique. Now, if I was out in high sec or maybe even a bit of low sec that I was familiar with, I'd be much braver running this site now. I'd be happy to take a bit of damage because I know I'd be able to manage the damage, if you see what I mean. I don't want to be getting into a situation here where I've got one less hit point than I could possibly have, just in case I have to interact with any of my fellow capsuleers. So that's the one reason I'm trying to balance this a little bit. Just bear that in mind. But then, of course, the quicker I finish the site and grab the loot, hopefully there's going to be some nice loot, it's going to be worth my while, the quicker we can get out of Null Sec. So it's a balance. Everything in this game is about a balance. And of course, even in Null Sec, there's time for a screenshot or two. So nothing but the very basicest loot here at the end of the first room. We're going to go into the security room. I think it's 27 frigates, some destroyers and a cruiser versus 1 Alpha Cormorant. All I can say is poor rats. Now these destroyers, for those of you that haven't seen too many of my videos, I've had so much fun in them. They're a ship class that I've found, certainly when I first played through the game, you skipped over because you had a destroyer. It was better than a frigate, but then you could very quickly really afford a cruiser, and it just made sense to get in a cruiser. What I've found is, certainly for a new player, if you just try to keep going in the smaller ship until you really get to the point where it just can't do it, and if you play the way I'm showing you, so you've always got a little bit of a safety margin, you should never really lose your ship, but you will know that, oh, there's no way I'm going to complete that site. Just like happened on the level 2 missions with the Minmatar ult, when I was trying them in frigates at first and then a Talwar, and then got to the point where I needed a cruiser for one of them. And let's not forget that my Alpha destroyers have made me over 1 billion ISK. I mean, and don't, if you think I'm exaggerating, watch the Thrasher video. I get what, $500 million in that one video, and that is recorded in one afternoon. So yeah, the clone soldiers are there. They're the bread and butter for the Alpha destroyer, I would say. The sites are a good diversion. Then, of course, the PvP successes we've had. I haven't really sought PvP in these ships because they're ratting fit. They're made to kill clone soldiers. That's really all they're there to do, as fast and as efficiently as possible. Obviously, this isn't that fit. But we killed the 80 mil Astero with the catalyst that cost 2 mil. We killed, what, the 75 mil Navy Comet. We killed the 30 mil Navy Comet. We killed the 48 mil Jackdaw. Because they all made the mistake of coming to think they could jump us because we were a ratting noob. So more fool them. And it's just about a bit of confidence. You know, why go down without a fight when you might actually fight and win? That's a good way of looking at it, isn't it? And then there was that one video where I took out a whole corporation's little fleet in one go. What was that? 4 Algosses and a Stabber. But there you go. I was just in a bad mood that day. And you can be brave, because if it all goes wrong, you just lost 10 mil and we've made a bill. So can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Anyway, we're settling in now. We're munching our way through these rats. We've taken a tiny bit of damage, but it really doesn't matter at all, does it? Now these wrecks up here, I'm not even checking them. I'm grabbing the ones that I need to loot. But the rest of these wrecks is just no point. I'm certainly, in this situation, in Null Sec or Low Sec, I wouldn't be inclined to be worrying about looting wrecks and salvaging or any of that malarkey. And that's a comment meant specifically for this kind of site. Some sites you most definitely want to take the time to loot and salvage. Now that is where our old friend, the Eve Uni Wiki combat site guide, will come in very, very useful. So yeah, before you ever do a site, make sure you do that little job of just Googling it. Put the word Eve in the Google box, put in the name of the site that you found, and the rest will take care of itself. But that Eve Uni page is definitely my recommendation. Some of the more obscure pages may be a little bit out of date, but nothing that's going to get you killed. Not that I've ever found anyway. But we're not alone. Did you notice as I was waffling, somebody came into local, so the D scan's up. He's not that old, an alt, but he could be a very experienced player. There are skill injectors. You never know what you're dealing with anymore. But he's there. The D scan is going to be our little shield. And I'm going to start some of my defensive tactics right now by popping out my probes. So he's going to be looking around. He's going to be looking at his D scan. I'm going to check mine and see if his combat probes are out. But just popping out probes, you'll see them around. I'm trying to make him not have a clue what I'm doing. That is my basic tactic here. Just pop them out, pop them back in. He's got to get up to this site. He's got to get across the first room, and then he's got to get to me, and I'm well off the warp in. So at the moment, there is no way this guy can get anywhere near me, really. I will be away as soon as he appears on grid with me, which is a good distance away now, because I've pretty much got to the gate. So here come his combat probes. Now I'm going to look at what range they're at. These work exactly the same as any, your exploration probes. He's got to get down with the radiuses, get closer and closer and closer to me. So I'm going to keep an eye at what range these probes are. They're not in too close yet. I've got one in at 1 and the whole lot are in about 5, and so is his Hecate. So I know he's in a Hecate. I know if he gets close to me, he will burn me down, no doubt. Blast Fit Hecate is very, very monster. So I'm not going to let that happen if I can possibly avoid it. I'm just keeping an eye on what's going on. If he's out at 5, it's going to take a couple more scans to get very close to me. I'm warping away now. So I know from hunting other ships it can be a bit of a pain. You get quite close and then they've gone. You've got to rescan them down. So that's what I'm trying to do. In effect, I'm turning this into me messing with his head. I'm not too daunted by the fact he's hunting me. I feel reasonably safe. I'm going to my safe spot. And I'm going to sit here and then I'm going to do my little 5 AUD scan here. I can still see his ship. I'm sure he can see mine maybe on his D scan. But if he's running his probe window, maybe he's not really looking at his D scan. His probes are now nowhere near me. I've disappeared from his scan screen, so he's like, what's going on? Where's this guy gone? So I'm going to sit here for a little while. I might see some probes come back onto my D scan, in which case I know he's looking for me again, in which case I'll just immediately, as soon as they get a little bit close, maybe there's 5 or more on my D scan, I'll be away. Now obviously he's got to a certain radius of where I was before, so if he wants to scan me if I go back to the site, which obviously I am going to do at some stage, he might be able to get them there quite quickly, so I'm going to be a little bit more wary when I go back up there. But the real dangers now would be for me to land on him somehow, or him to land on me. So I'm going to go back up to the site. So if he's already managed to get to the gate, I'm pretty sure he couldn't have, but if he had already managed to scan down the site and he was sat out on the gate now and I land on him, I'm probably going to die. I'm sure I'm going to die. I might make it out, but I wouldn't win a fight, let me put it that way. Not if he was close. Same if I go through a gate and he happens to be right on the warp in and I land right on top of him. I'm not going to have a good day, but for now I'm quite happy. So we come back up to the site. His probes are there, so he might have picked me up. Only 2 of them are close in again, look. So I'm just walked up back here. I've maybe flashed up, hopefully, on his scanning screen, and I'm just going to bugger off again. Just trying to do his head in, so he gives up. And of course, I'm in a Cormorant. How much effort and time is this guy going to put in to hunting me? Nowhere near as much as he'd be putting in if I was in a Gila or even, a battle cruiser. Something more worth killing, really, and more worth the investment of his time, because ISK per hour doesn't just apply to mining. It applies to kill mails too, for some people. Anyway, we need to be a little bit patient now. We're going to just repeat the process until he goes away, basically. But we need to be patient. We don't want to rush back to that site. We don't want to get into a situation where he knows where the entrance to that site is if we can avoid it, because he can just sit there. You've seen me on sites when I'm getting hunted and what we've actually done, but especially if you've got mates around. But this is me going away. Don't just stay on the site. What can I say? If I was about to finish the site, I'd just crack on and do it, because I know how much time it would take for the guy to get to me. And I have to say, guys, I've said it a lot in my videos, but when you've actually gone out and you've hunted people and you learn some of the hunting techniques and the dynamics of the hunt, you know, I didn't know how hard it was to be hunted on a narcotics warehouse till I went out to hunt somebody on one. It takes ages. It's in that video, standard low sec hijinks and how to avoid them. Yeah, patience is important. You guys that are out doing your missions, don't rush back to the site, especially if they've got anywhere near it. The number of kills we've got where they know we know where the site is because we've been in the room with them, and they'll warp off and dock up. And we'll just go back to the site entrance and wait, and within 3 or 4 minutes they land right on top of us, and it's fun time for us. Now here I've walked back through the gate into the site, but I'm immediately now just warping up to basically any random planet, moon, whatever. Again, I've given him a little sniff and I'm running away again, but I'm just running away to a different place. All smoke and mirrors, I'm just wasting his time and having fun. I actually enjoy this. I hope you all get to the stage where you could actually have a bit of fun with the person that's hunting you. And I have nothing but respect for this guy. He's out by himself in his Hecate in Null Sec doing what Hecate's supposed to be doing out in Null Sec. Just one word, if you walk to a structure, I've actually come to a POCO here, or a customs office, might not be a POCO. I'm just flying the ship away from the structure. If you're too close to them, they can get stuck to you and you can't warp when you wanna. But our friend has gone. We have won the Battle of Wills. We may now return to our site and continue it at our leisure. We're going to keep a close eye on local. It's quite possible he's gone to get a mate. He might have gone to reship. Who knows? So we're going to keep a close eye there. Certainly if we see his name, will be in red alert straight away. But attention will be given. So it's back to the site. The rest of the site is just run as normal. Nobody else comes into local the whole time. There are no surprises ahead. I'm going to cut, guys, to pretty much the end of the last room. I hope you agree that for the sake of brevity, we don't want to get over half an hour, do we? We'll cut here. I'll see you at the loot box. And as you rejoin us, we're running at 4 times speed. We're wading into kind of the last mob here. Local has stayed empty. We're going to get a little bit brave. Get this site finished. Hopefully get some loot and get home. That's still to be done yet, of course. All part of the challenge, all part of the adventure. So anyway, guys, I was thinking, what are we going to do to celebrate the milestone of the channel? And to thank you guys for your support, I think we're going to have to give away some stuff. I was thinking about actually giving away ships, but I'm going to give away the ISK equivalent of whatever ships we decide are going to be the prizes. It's just going to make the admin a lot easier, isn't it? You're not going to have to come and get them. I'm not going to have to get them to you. We'll talk about that when we see how much loot we've got and how good a mood I'm in, eh? So here we are, burning down this box. I'll tell you what, the Serpentis should start making the frigates on the den out of the same stuff as this loot. Well, obviously we're killing a whole structure, to be fair. But it does take a while. And, you know, if I was getting hunted now, this would be horrendously horrible. Imagine here me slowly grinding this box down and there's somebody coming across the room at me. I wouldn't run, and I probably wouldn't run. Not at this stage anyway, after all this hard work, eh? And it's a cheap ship. I could afford to push my luck. You see me get out of situations at 10% hull. If you're never getting hull, guys, you're playing too dull, guys, okay? There you go, there's my little thing for today. We got it. What have we got? The tension builds as we approach, and look at that. That says nearly 86 million. I'll take that. I'm happy with that. That's 8.5 cormorants paid for. How brave can we be now? Anyway, I'm quite pleased. Yeah, that prices look reasonable for the modules. We'll have that. It's been a good day. I've enjoyed this. Guys, the reward was no bigger for coming out to Null Sec to do this, as you've seen, and I didn't expect it to be, because yeah, I think it's a fair enough mechanic that a warehouse is a warehouse is a warehouse. And I haven't got home yet, so let's not count the chickens, eh? But it's just fun to come out here, have a laugh. I've got nothing to lose financially. My pod's worth 4 million, so yeah, if you want it, you can have it. And we know we got stacks of cash, and we got hangars full of ships to come out and have a laugh the next time. it's really not going to be a great issue, is it? So come on guys, think about it. Get out there. I'm not suggesting you do this straight away, and I could have hit death the first jump I made. I could have hit a bubble. I could have just happened to go through a gate and find a fleet sat right there. I could have had a roving fleet come through this system and chase me out. I had about 7 hours left on the timer. If it had got hectic, I would have left and just gone away, or even logged out, which you can do safely, especially if you haven't got any active timers on you, and I could make sure I didn't when I logged out. So the options are there, just use your head. Yeah, and mess with the guy that's trying to hunt you. Okay, I'm going to make a beeline back to high sec with this loot. No reasons to be sightseeing now whatsoever. Anyway guys, we've done it. We've so far survived this escalation run. We won't know till we're back in high sec for sure. But back to the giveaway. So we've made about, we're going to call it 100 mil off this video, I think. So that's 10 cormorants in it. So 10 of you, you need to be a sub. I think that's fair enough. I want a comment off you of what you're going to do when I give you 10 mil to build your own cormorant along these lines. And if you need a fit, they're either in the vids or you can just ask me for one. But please also, and you have to do this to qualify, message this alt ThinTrash in game and just just tell me the username you posted your comment on. I need to be able to make that link before I start saying this guy who posted this comment has won, because somebody could get to me in game saying they're you and nick your prize. I can't help it if that happens. So I need the subscription, I need the comment, just telling me what you do if you had a 10 mil destroyer to play with, and a message in game to ThinTrash just saying, hi, it's me, I gave a comment under this name. And I shall pick worthy winners, and my decisions will be final. Over the next 3 videos, we are going to escalate the prizes and the giveaways, basically based on the ships that are going to be in the video. So keep a special eye out for the next 3 or 4. It will be worth your while. We'll have the same kind of malarkey going on then, and I'm trying to cook up something special for the last one. So that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks, or certainly within the next couple of weeks. I can assure you of that. But for now, guys, as we go into our final warp, I couldn't resist dropping a couple of links into a low sec system with 146 people in it. Excuse me for that. Here we are. We're back in the lovely safety of high sec. Luckily, the assault's never had a security status issue when coming into high sec. That sometimes catches me out. I hope, guys, you found this useful. I hope you found it entertaining and interesting. Leave it a like if you've liked it. Any comments are always welcome. As I said, and I'm not joking, it's the feedback from you guys that really keeps you making these videos and pumping them out. Any requests, suggestions, corrections are welcome. For now, remember, even is believing. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves and each other. And for now, goodbye.